The CBC's science and climate specialist Darius Mahdavi joins me live from Vancouver. So Darius, we know hundreds of properties are under evacuation orders or alerts. What's the latest?
So, Andrew, I think it's best if I just show you on the map right off the top where we have those evacuation orders and alerts in place, because we do still have river levels in some areas climbing. Like you said, some are receding, like the Chilliwack River, but others, like the Sumas, which we'll talk about in a moment, are still climbing. So here is Metro Vancouver, you can see on the left there, and if we zoom in to the area around Abbotsford, this area in orange and red there, that's the Sumas Prairie. This is one of the areas that flooded really severely back in 2021. It's low-lying. It used to be a lake. It was drained almost 100 years ago to become the prairie and agricultural land that it is now. But that means that it can be very prone to flooding. We also have some evacuation orders and alerts. Oh, there you go, to see that agricultural land there. A couple orders and alerts over on the Chilliwack River here. These ones at this point, fortunately, Chilliwack River, again, those levels are declining. Hopefully we'll see that continue and those orders and alerts will drop pretty soon. Now, like you mentioned, we also have some flood warnings and watches still in place across the region. In red there, those are flood warnings. Those are the highest classification. It means flooding may be imminent. Those have spread now to the entirety of the Fraser Valley, but also extending into parts of BC's interior. We have in orange there, that one actually, this is still orange on my map, but in the government site now, it has now updated to red. It seems the graphics just haven't quite caught up yet, but that is also a flood warning at this point. That should also be in red there. Yellow, high stream flow advisories. That means rivers could be dangerous and could see levels rise really quickly at short notice across pretty much the entirety of southern BC, so something else to be on the lookout for. Now, rainfall has started to decline. We've seen that lighten up considerably since last night. After midnight, most of that stopped for the most part, but south of the border, that rainfall has continued, and again, we are seeing some river levels continue to climb. So just to give you a sense of the geography here before I show you the river levels, this on the bottom there, that's the Nooksack River in red, the big thick red line, and then there's a number of places, a number of rivers and waterways that connect the Nooksack River to BC. And each of these waterways has the potential to bring floodwaters up towards BC. This one in particular, we have the Sumas River here coming up into British Columbia. That is one of the rivers that really drove the flooding back in 2021. And those water levels, unfortunately, are climbing once again. Earlier today, it looked like we might start to see those level off. Let me get my pointer out here. Earlier today, we are seeing those levels start to level off. But since then, we have started to see a really big spike in those water levels. So this is something we're going to be watching very, very closely over the next couple hours. If those levels continue to spike, we have the potential to see another round of flooding. Now, in 2021, when this happened, those water levels reached about 4.2 meters. Right now, we're sitting just below 4 meters, and normal is closer to 1.5. So we are getting close to that point, as we saw in 2021, although the infrastructure and the preparations are definitely better this time around. So hopefully we won't see that extent of flooding, even if those levels do climb up there once again.
Okay, and let's talk a little bit about timeline, because, I mean, there could be more flooding in the hours ahead, right? And what does the forecast over the next few days look like?
You're exactly right. So we knew that this flooding was unlikely to happen unless we saw like really, really intense rainfall right over the Fraser Valley, even more so than what we did see, which was fairly intense. It was unlikely we were going to see that flooding really happen last night. It was more likely that more intense flooding would happen today because of that delayed input from the Nooksack River down south of the border. Now, what we're looking at here is the next 4 days of rainfall right through Monday evening. And as you'll see, it comes in waves, but especially as we get later into the weekend, Sunday and Monday, we're expecting to see heavy rainfall return to parts of the Fraser Valley once more. And as that happens, because of the soils being saturated, because those water levels are already really high in a lot of those waterways, we could see the potential for flooding to return once more. The BC River Forecast Centre has said that if we do see everything pan out the way that we are expecting to at the moment, we do see that amount of rainfall coming down, which could be as much as 75 to over 100 millimeters in parts of the Fraser Valley, which we can actually see here if we zoom in. There we go. There's parts of the Fraser Valley, 128 millimeters for Chilliwack over the next 4 days. That seems pretty plausible. If that happens, we could see substantial flooding risk return once again. We're at substantial flooding risk right now, and what that means is that for the next week or so, we're unlikely to see that risk decline. Andrew?
All right, so much to watch for, Darius. Thank you, CBC science and climate specialist Darius Mahdavi, live in Vancouver. My next guest has been driving into that same storm system in Hope, BC, towing stranded vehicles out of floodwaters and landslides. I'm joined now by Adam Zackle. He is a resident of Hope, BC. Adam, appreciate you taking the time. What has it been like out there today?
It's been very wet, and definitely the town is on edge a little bit.
I bet it's on edge. And now I understand, and we're going to show some pictures that you took that just gives us an idea that you were out in the floods last night and back out again today, towing people out of trouble. Can you just describe what you were seeing?
So it's a lot like the 2021 floods that hit our small town. Landslides, hearing them throughout the night, flooding on our local roads, and definitely a scary time.
So it was a scary time, and we were just looking at some images. Looks like you've got a camper van that you're trying to tow. Yep, got into some trouble. Just tell us a little bit about who got into some trouble.
So the couple that was in the camper van, the male driver was from Saskatchewan and the female was from British Columbia. They were just trying to get home, and from what we have just kind of noticed, and people just kind of panic in these situations, and all they want to do is get home and don't really think about the possible consequences. And they tried to get through the slide, and unfortunately, as you can see, they didn't make it very far.
They didn't make it very far, and so was it? It must have been really challenging in these conditions, just kind of getting people out of this. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, absolutely. When all roads lead to Hope, unfortunately, when those wash away, there's not much you can do. And like I kind of said, I think people panic in these situations, and all they want to do is try to get home, and they hope that they can get through these slides or these flooded areas, and they just don't. A lot of people haven't been put in this situation before, and they just don't understand the dangers that it could cause. And unfortunately, some of these people learned the hard way.
And tell us about the dangers. Tell us about what it was like on the roads.
The camper van, that made us kind of nervous just being in that area. But when we saw in other vehicles basically turning around immediately, we just jumped into action and just knew that, that's not just their vehicle, that's most likely their home. And we didn't want them to lose that. And we were worried that another slide could happen in that area, and we just wanted to get in as quickly as possible. The same with the flooding too. You are worried just of your own safety, what is happening, underneath the water. All those things are kind of going through your head. So we just try to work as quickly as possible just to get in and get out, and to not interfere with any of the other emergency crews.
Yeah, we're looking at some more video of, wow, it just looks like some vehicles going through some really flooded out roadways here. I think I saw a taxi, and I mean, how deep was the water? Just tell us a little more.
Yeah, absolutely. So the water level kind of ranged from over your knee in height. So easily 2.5, 3 feet on the edges of the road. And depending on the angle of the road, it would get to at least over your ankle. For some reason, people just kind of, again, panic, and they don't think about just those small things. And those vehicles that were stuck, if they would have maybe went on the opposite side of the road, they could have been fine. Or if they drove a little bit slower. But I think, again, you get scared and you just want to get through it as quickly as possible. And that's when, unfortunately, your car takes on water and kills in the motor.
Yeah, and and the extra element of this, and we've seen how dangerous they can be. It's the mudslides, right? I mean, this just can
absolutely.
So tell me about that. It just happens so fast, and that can even add even more trouble to the trouble you're already in.
Oh, for sure. We always, in the back of our mind, are just worried about, are we causing an issue, with maybe rescue crews? So we really pay attention just to make sure that we're not being in the way or just slowing things down for the town or rescue crews. We do worry about that a lot because that area where the landslide was and the flooding, it is a very common spot in between Hope and Silver Creek that does get a lot of flooding, a lot of rock slides, landslides over the years. So it's something that was in the back of our mind that, we could be putting ourselves in danger too.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm glad everything is okay now, but just quickly, are you concerned about the hours and days to come? And what's it like
Absolutely.
outside?
So right now, it is calmer skies. We haven't had any rain since probably early in morning. But that being said, the runoff off the mountains is still pretty intense. We are worried about just the amount of debris that is in the rivers. And if they build if there's a blockage in the rivers, that's where, it can be quite concerning about just what could happen if that lets go, the houses that are on the opposite side of that breakage. So with the weather that is coming here in the next few days, it's not over yet.
All right. Adam, appreciate you taking the time to talk to us. Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's Adam Skokkal, and is a Hope resident in BC.